Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Q.U.B.E 2. I'm just going to call it Q.U.B.E instead of Q.U.B.E. I suppose I forgot to mention that this game came out in March of 2018. I'm recording this at the end of March of 2019. So this is a pretty new game. I also turned up the audio from 10% to 15%, so when we get into dialogue it should be a little bit louder. Also noticed that my controller was a little loud, so I've twisted my microphone to try to avoid it. But when I was looking at the video, just trying to see if there was anything weird here, there's a couple things. First of all, when you see the blue in the lower right hand corner and you see the purple on the brick, like, that is not the same shade half the time. It's like as you get further away, that is very purpley, and it's not the same color that we see in the lower right hand corner. Guess this is an elevator, which definitely looks different. I looked at all the achievements, by the way. It doesn't feel like there's anything crazy here. Loading is taking a little while, which that's kind of acceptable. We've got a lot of texture here and this looks really good. We're already in chapter 2, which makes me think that this is either a much shorter game than I thought it was going to be, or this is going to just have a lot of chapters. The one achievement category that seems like it would be hard to do is to find all the collectibles. So we're gonna want to have to figure that out and see. I guess I'll just try to play my normal regular OCD collectible self, and if I happen to find them all good, if I happen not to, then I'll probably not bother to try that. So left trigger seems to work, and then it seems like just common sense in this character won't let me climb down that direction. Interesting. Now, will left trigger work when you are in red mode? Yes, it will. One of the things I was seeing is, like, there seems to be a little bit of lagginess here. It's probably not a big deal at all, but just, I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1 and jump and then see how long it takes, because it feels like it's taking about 40 milliseconds, which is noticeable, certainly. So 3, 2, 1, jump, jump. It just takes a little bit of time to get off the ground. Here you can hear me pressing the button, and then the jump is kind of delayed after that. Is that really going to affect this gameplay in any way? No, not really. This is going to be a much slower paced puzzle game. Even in Portal, as far as the series is concerned, that really wasn't, I imagine, anything that would have ever been too much of a hassle if there had been a bit of delay in the inputs, which there very possibly was a bit of delay in the inputs. Alright. So, I definitely feel the iteration that they've learned lessons they should have learned before they even put out the first game, where we have very basic things happening here. We've got sliding walls instead of rotating walls, which is a smarter move. I imagine we will run into some rotating walls eventually, but that's not the only option. This version of the game is created in Unreal Engine, I believe, whereas I think the first game was created in Unity. You tend to have a slightly better looking product for PC. if you make something in Unreal Engine, whereas Unity tends to look a little bit more cartoony and mobile game like. But then Unity also has the benefit of being more cross-compatible, so it's a little bit easier to make a mobile game version of this. And this is the kind of game that might be really cool if you could play it on an iPad or a tablet or a cell phone. On a cell phone, it wouldn't look that good.
Emma, reading you loud and clear.
How are you doing?
Making progress, I think.
Good. Listen, I wanted to ask, what do you remember before waking up?
I don't. Not really. I think I was heading towards a job, a dig site in Scotland. I was in a helicopter with my team.
And you don't remember what happened?
No, I don't. Are you interrogating me, Emma? Because it sure as hell feels like it. Emma? Oh, God damn it, this stupid thing. I best continue.
Interesting. So it does feel like see, I'd seen some reviews for this game, so some of my speculations might be things that I picked up and forgot that I actually know. But it does feel like maybe the voice that's talking to me now is interrogating you and is possibly not human at all. You can just use that convenient static, like in the first game, to cut the dialogue down. I imagine what I would have done if you were going to put that extra money to make the director's cut of the first game is I would have had the same writer also writing the story for the sequel, and maybe no, I don't think in video game industry you would have some like trial where somebody writes a story for the first game and then you would decide to change horses midstream and say, well, that writer actually didn't do as good a job as we would like. Let's roll the dice on somebody else who's new, but we have no clue about whether they can write either. Well, not that the writing was particularly great. The cubes weren't so marble-esque and reflective in the first game. And I like the fact that even in this dark section, it is not pitch black dark like in the first game. So yeah, I think as soon as you hired that writer for the first game, you would have wanted to have him writing the story for the second. That just kind of makes all the sense in the world. And okay, you can only have one blue or so many blue at a specific time, it seems. Okay. That didn't quite work. And these black walls, are instead of being cubic at all, are one solid piece, which that incredibly does a great job to differentiate walls from ceilings. You can see this is a different type of wall, and differentiate special walls from just regular walls. So, like, this is much earlier towards the point where we would have been doing something like this. And it's working a lot better this way, keeping things a little bit varied also. What I'm interested in finding out is if she remembers the message that played in the suit when I was on the desert. And I'm also interested to find out if that really was me or if we jumped characters. It could be that I'm just a clone of that person who did die in the desert. It could be that this is all about teleporter technology and they're just teleporting humans around into deserts or teleporting humans from the desert into here. This could be humans teleporting other humans. This could be aliens teleporting other aliens. Would be nice if there was no load there. I kind of feel like a load that's just that long really is just loading in textures and graphics, but then the textures and graphics don't really change. And I bet it took us it didn't even take us 15 minutes to get through that chapter. So the Talos Principle, in comparison, an older game, but in comparison still had
Another type.
that lovely continuous loading where it hid loading and you should never see a loading screen. These elevators could have easily have done that because they just needed to have the elevators be slower, and that would have been fine. Maybe in this game you can't do elevator music, but you could have just had the character go, boy, these elevators seem long. So we've got the cubes, and this time the cubes just get pulled out immediately, and the greens cannot be painted over. Maybe it's because the yellow is around here and that's locked.
Interesting. It's like the structure itself can duplicate and grow.
Structure's probably the wrong phrase I would have used there. I would have rewritten that as the building or the facility, this whole place, because structure in at least American English to me feels like you're talking about the wall itself can duplicate and grow, when really it should be everything can duplicate and grow. And I think that's what we're getting at in this game, is that is one of my speculations, but I've had a lot of them already, and I like that. Like, this is kind of what you wanted in the account of Portal 1 and Portal 2, is for there to be some questions that at least don't get answered until you're at the very end of the game, instead of things being kind of told to you straight, or just no questions really being raised. I feel like the first game really didn't raise any questions that were very useful. I mean, sure, you can say a few things about this, but not a lot. Alright, so if I was to put that over here and then put that over there, I can put that up that way. I can do this. So what do we do now, though? If I put a blue here, that doesn't do anything. If I put a red here, that moves that out of the way. So, okay. Maybe I need to put a blue here, and maybe this will just keep bouncing up and up and up. And then I just have to do that. Alright, that works. Then we can put the blue up on that, and we're standing on top of all of these for maximum height. Nice. What I'm really trying to find here is if this is the game that can prove that Portal can exist and work without being written and made by Valve, or being written and made by other people. Seems kind of obvious what we need to do here. We're gonna shoot this right through the wall, which that's not something that was introduced in the first game until one very late game puzzle. And even when it was introduced, oh, and look, I can stand on these cubes and I don't clip through them. It'll be great to see that we don't clip through anything. Let's see. So it seems like, to start with, this is the start. Let's try this. Nope, it still clips through me in flight. But that's better than it was in the first game. Where we were clipping through a lot of things. Okay. We put that here. And that way. And see if that lands where I think it would. Yes. Now ideally you would like a choice wheel to I guess it didn't really have to land on the green block. Anyways, it's weird you have two types of walls, but it shows a level of extra effort put here, where the clear barrier wall clearly is not the only kind of wall that can exist, but they don't really mean anything. They both are barriers, it's just different art style, and it draws your eyes differently. I guess what we're learning here is if you see horizontal lines, you can shoot over it, whereas if you see a solid blue wall, you're probably not supposed to shoot over it. Which, that's fine. And this feels just like a hallway with nothing in it. So this is possibly so that we can see a cutscene or an in-game cutscene. My hands just went down, so it did trigger a in-game cutscene. Now my hands, yeah, I still can't bring them up. This game is a lot longer than I think, and has a lot of chapters, or they've really hidden collectibles well, or maybe even collectibles are not even findable the first playthrough. For a shorter game, not sure I'd hate that concept, but it would be slightly annoying. That's something I'd prefer a game to ask me, is like, would you like to play the story experience or would you like to play the collectible experience?
Emma, can you read me?
I'm reading you. Are you alright?
I've come across an exterior space. The storm has cleared up and, well, there's life here. There's water and plants.
That's unexpected.
This doesn't look accidental either. The structure of the space, the organization of it, it looks purposeful. It reminds me of my husband.
In what way?
Oh, he works with plants.
You should move on, Millie, before another
I
storm
wonder if the
comes.
frequency
Agreed.
numbers mean
Speak soon.
anything. So there's water, there's life. This is pretty early in this game to throw out this twist, because frankly I would have expected at least a couple hours of doing some boring generic single player experience puzzles. In fact, I would probably like to have seen a full reworking. These reflections don't look particularly good. Like a full remastering, reworking of the original puzzles, so that you could run through them or solve them in a different form or fashion. And then you get to this point and realize the game is not all the same. But that I would have to only taken a couple hours, because I don't know if people would have had the patience for that. And you have just kind of like stone poles. And yeah. So who's to say that the cutscene at the beginning of the game wasn't a time travel flash forward, or wasn't a different planet and then we got teleported to Earth, and that this is Earth. I mean, this certainly looks very Earth-like. Trees and plants. Of course, we've never found any plants in the real world on any other planets, so who's to say if they would look the same or not. And it's just losing leaves. So we just have to go back. This is a game that is in the Wikipedia described as it was the exact same amount of effort as it was to make the first game. That the team on Toxic Games literally only hired one more developer between that. And certainly just using Unreal for a PC game is a better move than using Unity. Knowing that there's an audience there can certainly motivate developers. Having the previous experience definitely motivates developers to do a better job. And just time in general works. There probably were a lot better tree assets that you could have pre-bought if that wasn't an original tree that was animated for this game versus what you could have bought when Q.U.B.E. came out. By the way, Q.U.B.E. stands for Quick Understanding of Block Extrusion. Clearly this is a initialism, I believe is the phrase, where you have the initials to start off with and then you decide to make a shortened version of it. So, yeah. Still not really finding any secrets. This, so far though, be kind of hard to play this a second time. Not terribly hard though, since it has been barely an hour. And yeah, we're not getting any prompt or anything. We still have the system message to interact. And if I move on the mouse, it doesn't mean anything. Assume that would be right click. Yeah.
Detach function. Code colored green enabled. Recommended action. Place green cube on white panel.
Incredible.
So the system's still talking to you and totally seems connected to you and your technology. So maybe it is part of the story, and that is the reason why you can't turn off the green cubes. I mean the system messages. Sorry, I said the wrong thing. Yeah, this would be easy enough to run through, but you still don't really have a run function. And yeah, the door is locked, so there's no backward options. It would be hard to go back and try to play Portal again, or the Talos Principle again. Certainly took me 5 years to even play the DLC for the Talos Principle, and that was in part a mistake, I'm sure. Seems like she just puts her hands down sometimes for no reason. So now it just cycles between the three colors. So red, green, blue. So there might be some point at which this becomes color coded. I wouldn't be super surprised about that. Alright, let's solve this on the first try if we can. Yep. That makes a staircase, and the staircase allows me to jump up. There is a difference here in the amount of dialogue, and I think that is part of the thing that kills any Portal clone, is that you're almost constantly getting dialogue, at least a sentence, it feels like, in every puzzle. Maybe it goes quiet if you're having trouble with a puzzle and they don't want to irritate you. This is weird. So I only have enough for one, which means at some point this feels like this kind of wall should move upward, but it doesn't. I feel like I've somehow found my way into a puzzle I should not be in. Alright, well, let's try that. And then take that and then put that there. Okay. We had to iterate a solution there. So we now kind of know how this puzzle is going to get more complicated. Also, feels like there should be a way to get up there, but I don't really see a way. Unless these were to change at some point and become trampolines that would bounce us up higher. Yeah. Or there was some way to move that upward. Yeah. So maybe we'll come through these puzzles a second time, or some of them.
Millie, I've been monitoring your position. Your suit readings show that you've gained quite a bit of altitude.
Does that mean I'm nearly at the top?
Not quite. These structures, all paths should lead to a central core. If you get there, we can figure out the best way to get you to the peak.
How do you know all of this?
We trained for a long time, Millie.
So what do you think these structures are?
Well, we know they have internal machinations and seem to perform tasks with no need for external input. A cybernetic system of sorts, reacting and adapting. The gloves were built to change that, or at least divert its functions temporarily.
But what's their purpose?
All I know is that we had to stop that vessel from colliding with Earth. The structure you're in, God knows what they're used for. Anyway, let's focus on finding that beacon as soon as possible.
I'd really like to see the story address the elephant in the room too, in some way. Like, why was the ship in the first game falling apart every time I solved what seems like a simplistic puzzle? This feels like a mistake. Why didn't they just... They wanted this red line to continue here, and therefore I can't walk here because apparently I am slightly wider than one cube when there is a laser. Probably would have been smarter if the lasers were just then slightly inset instead of kind of directly on the edge, pushing me over. Because this just feels like you're floating in there. Yeah, I definitely would like to know why the cube was falling apart when I was solving puzzles. Is this structure that I'm in right now falling apart because I'm solving puzzles? Or is there something more to it than that? And here we just have God rays, bright white light, which is not what it looked like elsewhere. I like this. This is slightly too bright, but I kind of like the clear white brick instead of... We're seeing more darkness than anything else. So if we turned on the facility a little bit more and it started to light up the rooms, that I would be okay with that visually, although that would also move the story forward in probably a cool way. You know what this game has chosen to do, which is nice, is there's no cameras on the wall. Magnetic cage closed, which I won't be comparing this much to because that was a pretty awful game. By the way, I did look at every single possible ending on that on YouTube. It was even hard to find that because it's so unloved and unplayed. Doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. And yeah, none of the endings are particularly worth seeing. And I probably only missed a few chambers of content. I may have missed one or two, and that's kind of it. So let's see. That gets high enough for that. I don't actually think I want that though. I think I probably want this over here, and then I just need for it to bounce up and then do that. Nope, that's not high enough. Interesting. Interesting. So if it comes up with a higher height, does that work for it? And see, if you want to reset, you just do that immediately. So what does that do when I push it back down? Oh, kind of nothing. And I do need some height to get up to that point. So I'm gonna have to think about this puzzle a little bit more than we have time for. So everything should be good now. I'll listen to the audio just to make sure it's at the point I want it to be, just to make so that we can hear the voices. We're in chapter 4 already, and it's only been an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Maybe I think it's really only been an hour. Anyways, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.